Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the RedView CRM seminar webinar this morning. What I wanted to do is talk to you today about our RedView CRM product and the lead management capabilities that are available within the product. My name is Stephen Butler, even though it says Dominic Donner on the webinar area there. I'm the CEO of RedView and also the product manager for the RedView CRM. So just to understand a little bit more about what we're going to talk about here, basically a quick introduction, then we'll go through the software itself, looking at the type of information we can capture, how we can integrate with your website, how we very tightly work with Outlook, how we've now incorporated some AI into the process, then managing leads and looking at events and campaigns, and then looking at some of the dashboards and analytics that are available from the information that we've captured. So as a background, RedView CRM is one of a range of products that we've developed that hook into various practice management systems in the marketplace. The idea here is that we provide some add-on tools to do the things that the practice management system doesn't do, and RedView CRM is one of the key tools here. Basically, the product's evolved over the years. We first released in 2020, I think, and over the years it's evolved into a fully functional end-to-end CRM solution focused upon law firms. It has two key themes or aspects to it, I guess. The first is about managing leads and inquiries. So the button's up here in terms of looking after the leads and then bringing them into a client and contact database if applicable. Then managing the client and contact database, so looking at the client information, building marketing lists, creating events and campaigns, following up with contacts and the like. Today we're just going to focus on the lead management aspect. There'll be another webinar on the contact management aspect in the not too distant future. So in terms of the product itself, we have built a number of integrations with the products listed here at the moment, and we're currently working with Smokeball and ActionStep to build further integrations so it'll be available with those products in the not too distant future. The product also runs on a standalone basis. So the lead management in particular can operate on it in its own right, but you can also load in clients and contact information to be able to produce some of the outbound marketing information as well. However, as I said, today we're focusing on the lead management options. So these are the options that are available with the product right now: lead management, contact management, a number of optional modules, and all coming together in the enterprise edition there, which covers everything. So if we look at then lead management, the first goal is to have a central repository for all leads and activity. So anyone working on a lead can see it, all the information in one place. And this is, particularly useful in where there's job sharing or multiple people working on an opportunity. The second goal is to really make the data capture as simple as possible. So we've built integrations in a number of areas to make sure that we can capture information and don't have to rekey information that's already been keyed. And then now we've started to incorporate AI into the process so we can make that even faster. Then once we have the information, automations to assist in the process of following up with the inquiry and managing the opportunity. Then reminders to make sure that that can be done as effectively as possible. Then we have a task board to oversee what's happening. We have the ability to build custom forms and fields for information that's specific to the firm that they want to capture, particularly in an onboarding sense. And then dashboards to take that information and present you with analytics so you can understand what's going on and make decisions about where you want to invest your money, your marketing dollar. So let's have a look at now the software. So we have here, I'm running the system in full. So this is the full enterprise edition with all the functionality available. Lead management only covers inquiries and events and campaigns and the inquiries dashboard. The tool runs in a browser like this. It just needs a browser, needs a internet connection, and you can run whenever you like. We currently support Chrome, Edge, and Firefox, as well as Safari for Apple Macintosh users. So if we now go into the leads area to start off with, what we start off with is a list of all of the leads that are in the database that are currently open. There's a whole range of different views of information that you can see. So there's a basic view here. We can then switch to maybe a contact details view, and then also a meetings view, so we can see what meetings are coming up and what's been involved. The views are all user definable. So there's a view manager that allows you to select the columns that you want to show in the view, and then a way of naming that and saving that away so that you can keep the view for later use. If we go into a lead, then the way that you capture a lead is in the first instance through a form. So here what we see is the details of the lead that are available. So there are some standard fields and some mandatory fields. So we have the first name and the last name. And then a source, an email or telephone or mobile contact. Only one is required. Best practice is try and capture as much as possible. And then we have the source of business, which is a user-defined list, which is used for analytics. So if we can select one of those as a particular area that they've come from, maybe a mail out in this instance. We then have a location field if you want to break things down by office or various geographical locations. Then a couple of other fields here that are available. If it's a contact from an organization, then you can contact the organization name. And then we have the nature of the inquiry and the area of law. The other type of information that can be captured is the estimated fees, and we can default these in certain circumstances. We can capture the client details. So if we learn the address information, we can go and search through Google to find the address and record that against the inquiry as we capture the details. Then if there's a second client, we can do a risk assessment. If we know who the other side is, then that can be captured. More notes, some digital tracking details I'll talk about in the future, and then we can attach documents here against the lead. So the idea is that all of this information can be captured and recorded in the one place, so people can be aware of it. And indeed, in terms of onboarding, then we can use this information from an onboarding point of view. Now, the field I didn't fill in here was the area of law. And in this instance, this is once more a user-defined list. But what I'm going to do here is select the area of law of TPD. And what happens now is that you have a set of questions and information that you can collect that are specific to your firm. So this is a custom form. Can be designed with whatever text you want, with whatever fields. You can add instructions here so that the operator can capture and know what information they're capturing, and that extra information can be captured there. So once and then you can have different custom information depending upon the area of law. So if I select a family matter here, then we get a set of fields that are related to family, and so on and so forth. So you can set up for each different type. So we then save that information into the database. We say, oh, well, look, it's going to give this to Barbara to look after. we now save that into the database, and we've registered the inquiry and logged it into our system. Now that's then triggered a notification to Barbara to tell her that she's got a new lead to look after. So if we go here to the notifications area, which it hasn't arrived as yet, but hopefully shortly, we'll see there it is there. So we'll see here that she's received a notification to that she has a new client to follow up. So that's one way of recording some information. That's a basic entry of details. So the next way I'll show you of capturing the information is where we have a form on our website. So in this instance, what we've got is a very simple form that's been set up. Our API has been built into the form by the web developers, and basically when the person comes along and submits the information through your website, we now go back to the site here, and what we can see is that we've now logged that automatically into the database. That then has also triggered some automations. So if we now look back here in the area here, so we've then we've got the information. Sorry, that was the one that came through before. Oh, no, that's it. That's been notified to the person, and then an automation has also been set up to automatically acknowledge back to the inquirer with a tailored email that's for them. It's related to the area of law. It can be formatted in whichever way that you want it, with a text editor to be able to bring in links and images and all of that sort of stuff. So we've now captured that information through the website. So another way of capturing information is that people often have Facebook ads or different sources of information that are sent through the email is sent to a person or sent to a group emailer box via an email with the details. So this is an example of an email that's actually come through from a Facebook ad. So what we now have is built a range of add-ins within Outlook, where you can select to capture that information. So here, if I select this option here, what we can see is that it's going to look at the email header to try and grab the information in relation to the inquiry. So it's got that it's come from Dave Palmer, that these are the details, and it's got put the body there. Now what we've done is incorporated some AI into the product. So now when we can select to actually scan the details of the body of the email itself. So we can see here that it's gone through and looked at the inquiry. It's now found the first name and the last name. It's got the phone number. That's actually a mobile number. So we might just move it over to here to start with. It's got the email address, and then it's looked at here to build the actual nature of the inquiry itself. So we can add that in. That's now filled in the form for us. We can say, well, this is actually a personal injury area. We might just, for the sake of capturing, drag that email into the area as well, and then we can assign it to, in this case, we'll give it to Dave to look after. You can see as well that the system is calculating out some follow-up reminders, follow-up due dates and reminder times that are system defaults and based upon rules that you can set up, and they will trigger reminders to the person in the future. So we can now save that away, and that's now, if we go back and look at our database, we can see that we now have this one that's been captured by email. We can see, if we now go into the history of the the email, we can see that this is where it was captured. It was created as an email. It was assigned to Dave, and Dave's due to follow up within 7 hours, which has been defined by the rules set up within the system. So now that we have the lead in the database, there are various things that we can do here. In the first instance, we can set up some email templates. So here I can say I'm sending an email. I can now select from a set of emails that I've set up. So it could be that we need some more information. Whereabouts, there it is there. So it will go and get the template that we've set up and fill it in, and we'll say, please send and we send that through, and that will log that as an email that's been sent to the person. So it's fully tracked within the history of what's happening with the person. Other things we can do here are send an SMS. So we can, similarly with the emails, we can set up SMS templates. So I might just say, get this one. And because we have an email address, a mobile phone number here, we can now send that away, and that will send that to the person via SMS. Another thing that can often happen with law firms is bringing the person in for a meeting. So we can now book a meeting for the person. We can say we're going to have a meeting with Suzanne, and it's in our Sydney office. This could be, you can cut and paste in here a Zoom URL or a Teams URL if required. You can select the date that you want to have it on, and then the time, put some notes in. And then the system also then has a automation to allow you to send a reminder to the person before the meeting occurs. So it could be the day. Well, by default we've set it up as a day, but maybe you want to change it to a different time period. And in this instance, because we have the SMS option available, we will send it both by email and SMS. If we only wanted it to go via SMS, then we can just turn off the email. We can then review the meeting confirmation to the person. This will be sent. This is once more as a template that you can define with the information in there, extracting it from the details here, and we send it through, and that will then send that to the inquirer. It will have a iCalendar attachment so that they can copy it into their area, and what we can see is it will send a reminder by SMS the day before. So that those processes are all part of managing the inquiry. There are other things you can do here. You can link to third-party products. So if you have questionnaires that you want to put in place to collect information, then that's available. You can then mark that you've had the meeting and record all of that information within the database. But at some stage, you will then get to the point where the person has decided to proceed or not to proceed. So if we select proceeding, that will I'll show you what will happen in a minute. Then that will set it into the state of the deal's been won, and we now want to create a matter. If it's not proceeding, what you then do is say what's the reason for it not proceeding, and once more this is a user-defined list where we can then start to provide information about what's happening. So what will do point you a little bit more about, tell you a little bit more about at the moment, though, before I take you to the proceeding step, is to have a look at the digital tracking capability. So here, what you see is that This is where I loaded that email, inquiry from. You see up the top, this has a number of codes in it that are designated UTM codes that come through from the landing page that you've had. So the person's been directed to this landing page. It's been given some UTM codes. What our API does is it scans the details there, and I'm not looking at the right one. Sorry. We go to this one that came through from the website. It scans the details and collects those UTM codes and the like. And then within our events and campaigns module, we have a link to the events and campaign that we've set up so that we can automatically match the event at the RedView event and campaign against the inquiry, so this information can be collected. So if I now just take you quickly into the events and campaigns area, we can see this, there's the inquiry, the campaign that's been set up as a digital tracking campaign. We select that and can see here that the UTM codes have been attached to this campaign so that we can match it against the inquiry. So going back to the lead now, we've got that inquiry logged and attached to the campaign automatically. You can manually do this as well, and you can use this with other sources. So if I went back in here to Joseph, I can now update those events and campaign details. So here there's nothing's been captured because it wasn't captured through a landing page, but I can come along and say, well, this is in fact come through our August webinar, and we can save that, and that will be used for analytical purposes. So we're now at the point where Joseph has spoken to the firm and gone through the details of what's involved, and is happy to proceed. So we now mark the area as proceeding. If we say save at this point in time, what it will now do is set up the inquiry ready to create a matter. Where we have a product integration to the PMS, then we can create the matter by selecting this button and pushing. It will then take the information collected and post that into the practice management system, creating a client record and a matter record based upon the information created. If we don't have an integration or there isn't an API available, then you can link to the matter created from the PMS. If you're running the system in standalone, then a notification can be sent to a designated person who is looking after the inquiry, so that the next step in the process can be handled. So we now have finished that process in terms of tracking through with the inquiry. So if I now close that, what I just quickly show you is the report that's available. So if we select here the history report, and this is a summary of all of the information that's been captured right from the beginning. So a whole range of stuff, then a history of all of the activity. And that can be used where we have an integration. We usually attach that to the matter as a document. Alternatively, it can be used and filed away if we don't have an integration. But the idea is you can just get a quick summary of what's been happening and use that as a basis for whatever you need it for. The other side of the looking after the inquiries is being able to monitor what's happening. So what we can see here is when I come in initially, what that will do is show me a list of my inquiries. So I can now see what's happening. I have, when follow-ups are due, I will be reminded. But if I'm a manager of the looking after the inquiries as a whole, what we then have is a Kanban board view where you can select to look at the inquiries in a task management type capability. So we're not very good at following up here, so everything's overdue. If I select, however, to look at this from an assigned to, so who are the people that are looking after the inquiries? I want to see what their workload is and what's happening. Then I get this view here. Pardon me. I get this view here by person of all of the tasks that are outstanding. So what I can then do is from here message the person. So I might want to say what's going on here. And we send that away. That will log that message against the inquiry, but also send an email notification to the person that they want, something needs to be done, and they can message back through that process as well, so that we can keep everything up to date and understanding at what's going on. Other group by options here are by the area of law. And I didn't point this out earlier, but if you're working on a team basis, then you can set people up within teams and manage the information on a team basis. So that's the management of the details there overall. Now that we've collected that information, I'll take you through to the inquiries dashboard. And what we can see here is that by collecting that information, we can start to monitor what's going on. So the first chart here shows the health of the data. As I said, basically, we don't follow up very much in our form, so there's quite a lot of information outstanding and some red lines here. This chart is then starting to look at the results of events and campaigns that have been started, in this instance, in the last 12 months. But if we look at last 3 months, if we look in the last 12 months, we can now collate for all of the events and campaigns that we've done, how many inquiries have been generated, how many are still active, how many have been won and lost, what our conversion rate is from our events and campaign marketing. And then further details down here as to how many leads have come through and what they've cost and what billing they've generated. Now we're looking at here the number of inquiries and the trends coming through. We can look from this chart here showing our conversion rate, and then who are the best converters within the firm. We can see by using that reason for not proceeding, why people aren't using us. Where we have an integration with the practice management system, we can bring in the billing data from the practice management system. And for example, here we can see in the last 12 months that the website has generated 26 matters, which have created $136,000 in fees. We can see what areas of law are coming through. We can look at where things are coming from. We then, if you're using the pipeline facilities and the estimated fees, we can see what type of work is coming in and how big the pipeline looks. We can then track how long the individual people are taking to follow up on various inquiries. And then there are various other options in terms of presenting information. So by simply collecting that data, we can then feed this information back to the firm as a whole. But further than that, what we can start to do is different analyses here. So if I look at this is looking at the scope of the firm overall. But if I select now that maybe I just want to look at a particular event and campaign, so if I select my property AdWord campaign here, what this will do is filter the dashboard down to show what's happening with that campaign. So we can see that there's been 44 inquiries generated. If I select all time here, we can see that there's been 51 generated overall, 44 in the last 12 months. We've got the cost of the inquiry was of the campaign was $3,000. It's generated the 51 inquiries. Therefore, the lead has cost $59 for each lead, and it's generated $22,000. We can see the conversion rates here. Just change that to, you can see who's converting. Once more, all of that same information I showed you before for the firm as a whole, we're now looking at it for a specific campaign. Equally, if I wanted to look at that for a particular area of law, I might say what's happening with the family business here. So I can now I now have a dashboard of the with the work and the business development efforts that have occurred with the family practice. And similarly, there are if we're using the location field, we might want to see what's happening in Sydney office. And we've got that same area of information that can be now filtered down to the particular location. And we can give you all this simply by capturing, the inquiry, the date that was captured, whether they proceeded or not, basically. And all of that, we can then analyze that information to give you this information to understand what's going on. And I'm conscious that I've just gone a little bit over at the moment. So that's all I was covering through at this point in time. Certainly, if you have any questions, I can take a few now through the chat if you're wanting. Otherwise, thank you for coming along, and we'll send out a recording of the webinar in the not too distant future. And thanks for coming along. Sean, yes. How can I help? Okay, so how can we look at the template emails? So what I'll do here is go into the configuration section. So as a system administrator, you then have the ability to look at the information in to manage this. So if we select the message templates area here, so if I look at the very first one here called response templates, what you then have is firstly the ability to set up different emails for different types of law. So we've got specific emails for the criminal area of law, and the idea basically is you can come in and start from scratch, so we can set up, let's pick one that's so here's the area of law. There's like a full text editor. It's not as complete as Word, but very powerful text editor where you can set up tables and incorporate images, change the fonts. We've now incorporated AI into here, so you can start to draft template text from using the AI area. So just for the second question coming through in terms of exporting information. So if we go back to the list here of inquiries, then you have the the various columns that are available, there is the ability here to export to Excel. So if I select that export, I can define my query and then bring it out to Excel to do other things with it. And then from reception, family law matters. Yeah, look, the product is scalable. We price based upon the size of the firm, and there are various tiers. You would fit into our tier A, which is has a lowest level price. I can send you some details on that if you're interested. Okay, well, look, thanks for coming along, and I'll, as I said, send out the recording for those, well, to everyone, if you can relive it if you like. Otherwise, thanks for coming along, and see you next time.